So, you think you've done everything there is to do as far as fighter sims are concerned, huh?
Yep, seen it all, done it all, flown it all.
Have you tried air power?
Don't need to.
Don't need to?
Nope.
Why's that?
Whatever it is, I've played something just like it before.
But
I've flown Falcon, Jet Fighter 1 and 2, Aces over Europe and the Pacific.
But-
U.S. Navy fighters, U.S. Marine fighters, Fighter Wings, Wings of Glory, Dawn Patrol, Flight Unlimited.
but you haven't.
Red Baron, Hornet, Tornado, Navy Strike, Strike Commander, Fleet Defender, Blue Max.
That's a bunch, but
I've played A-10, A-15,
F-117A, F-14, F-19, F-22, F-29, F-29, F-27,
hold on!
There's nothing I haven't seen.
What about this?
Dope! What is that?
I'm trying to tell you that this is air power. It's from Rowan Software and Mindscape, and it's like nothing you've seen before. The world of air power takes place in the land of Curanthia, which is just like Earth in the 1930s. In actual history, the military was looking into using blimps as aircraft carriers.
I remember that. The planes had hooks on them that attached to a carriage on the bottom of the blimp. The only trouble was that blimps made big targets and couldn't be easily defended. They also crashed a lot.
Yep, so everyone gave up the idea and went to water-based carriers. But in the world of Curanthia, there are no big bodies of water, so blimps had to be used.
So air power is a look at the way history may have turned out if circumstances were different.
You really gotta know the storyline behind the game before air power starts to make any sense at all. The land of Curanthia is divided into 4 countries, each being controlled by a duke.
And all of the dukes are accountable to the emperor who runs the whole show.
Right. Now, one day, an army from a foreign land marched on one of the countries.
And all of the countries whooped up on them.
Nope.
No?
Nope. Everyone just sat there. They didn't care whether that country got taken over or not. And that's where the emperor steps in. You see, he has these 4 daughters, and...
Watch it, this is a family magazine.
Will you be quiet? The emperor gives his daughters in marriage to the 4 dukes, which allows the emperor to exert some extra influence over them.
So he gets the other countries to come to the rescue.
The invaders were forced out, the emperor saved the day, and everyone lived happily.
But Otto was a wimp. No one trusted him or had faith in him.
So one day Otto woke up dead, under suspicious circumstances, but dead nonetheless.
So that leaves the 4 dukes vying for the throne, claiming it by right of marriage through the late emperor's daughters.
But the folks minding the capital decided that the duke who could muster the most support from the people of Curanthia would be declared the new emperor.
So each of the dukes now travel from town to town trying to gain the support of the people, diplomatically or otherwise.
The player takes the role of one of the dukes vying for power. Starting out with one city, the player takes his fleet from city to city trying to convince the people to support his cause.
When enough support is gathered, the player can travel to the capital city and make a claim for the throne. Of course, all the other dukes are going to be gathering support all this time as well, and are liable to gather enough support before the player does.
So, if you have a strong fleet and don't want to spend time trying to convince towns to follow you, you can make an assault on the capital city itself, meaning you'll have to fight through waves of Imperial guards.
But you aren't alone in your quest for power. Throughout your journey, you'll have the advice and assistance from
These guys.
With Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
these fellas are your first mate, war chief, and diplomat, and they pretty much stand there and look at you throughout the game.
But through a series of menu choices, you can access each person in order to repair and supply the fleet, attack cities that don't want to follow you, or try to convince them to join your cause without bloodshed. But what's the fun in that?
When first starting out in the game, the player chooses which of the 4 dukes to play as.
Which, as far as I can tell, doesn't have much bearing on the game outside of the player's starting position, and perhaps the attitude of the people towards him.
Once a duke is selected, the player gets to choose from several different fleets which are comprised of carrier blimps, gun platform ships, and the airplanes making up the strike force.
Unfortunately, the types of airplanes can't be mixed and matched. The different fleets always have the same configuration and makeup.
But these different fleets each have their own personality. One fleet may be quick but not have as much firepower, while another fleet is flying death but may take forever to get anywhere.
The central part of the game, the highlight of the program, are the airplanes.
But I've never seen airplanes like these before.
That's because these things don't exist. These planes have twin tails, rear-mounted engines, there are flying wings, planes whose wings are swept forward. I mean, these planes are out there.
But they look so real.
That's the kicker to the whole thing. The air power universe is totally strange and bizarre, but the planes look like they could actually fly if they existed.
Flying these planes feels believable as well, and the planes have different flying characteristics according to design and function.
But one of the biggest problems in the game is the inability to easily see what's going on around you.
But the game comes with a ton of views, like to the enemy and external views, right?
Well, yes, but the layout of these views on the keyboard is not good at all. Most games keep all of the view keys together on the keyboard, like the keypad or a series of function keys. But AirPower has the choices where you aren't used to them being, and they really don't make much sense.
Okay, so the basic views from the cockpit are controlled by the 5, 6, 7, and 8 keys.
Right. And because they're located in the middle of the row, you have to take your eyes off the action to find the keys you want to use.
And the external views are accessed by the F4 through F9 keys, with the variations on those views accessed by Shift and Alt key combinations. Sounds like it could get complicated.
And it does get complicated. When you're in the middle of battle, the last thing you want to do is to execute a Shift F5, then an Alt F7 while the enemy is bearing down on you and you're trying to line up for a bomb run. It's confusing and difficult to use, and it's just easier to pick 2 or 3 views you like and forget about the rest.
As far as the game itself is concerned, AirPower is excellent. And while the environment graphics may not be drop-dead gorgeous, the towering pyramids and stilt house villages really add to the atmosphere.
The planes, however, are drop-dead incredible. And when they get shot out of the sky, pieces of debris fly everywhere and trails of smoke follow the planes down.
And blimps blow up nice as well, but not quite as spectacularly as I would have hoped. Flames dance across the surface of the blimp as it tumbles to the ground, but it's not as dramatic as it could have been.
But the universe of AirPower is a fun place to play around in, even if it does take a while to get used to. There's good action, the graphics are very nice, and a healthy bit of strategy is thrown in. This game has more originality than any fighter sim we've seen in a while.
Hopefully there'll be an AirPower 2, which will fix the few minor problems and continue the unique storyline, which has more potential for a good book series or a movie than Doom, which is getting both.
But for now, AirPower is a good fighter sim with a twist. It's unique and fun, and for any fighter sim fan, this game must definitely be seen to be believed.